I'm going to call to order the Brawley City Council and successor agency, the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency regular meeting of October the 4th and at 6 p.m. And roll call, please.
Minutes will reflect that all the council members are present.
Okay. And I don't believe there's anything to report out of our closed session.
Nope.
Okay. So invocation, Luke, could you do that?
Yes, I'll stand if you can. Let's bow our heads and pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we are grateful to you this evening for this beautiful time of the year. We thank you for each person that's made the effort to be here tonight. We thank you for the task that's set in front of us to make good decisions for our city, and we ask that you would fill us with wisdom, and that you would guide our decisions, and that as we look to the future for the city of Brawley, that it would be a bright and prosperous future. We thank you for your many blessings that you pour out on us each day. We thank you for your hand of protection that is upon us. We ask that you would just oversee our proceedings this evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the pledge. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Welcome. We'll now go to item number 1, which is approval of our agenda, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, now item number 2 is public appearances and comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone, and we ask that you come to that microphone. Please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. And please direct your questions and comments to the city council. Does anybody have anything they would like to discuss that's not on the agenda? Mr. Camino.
Named Eddie Camilo. I come here to find out why they didn't put up a stop sign on C and First. They put up one on C and E, but they didn't put up one of the most dangerous one is on C Street.
Okay.
Why didn't they put it up?
Is that C Street or First Street, sir?
First Street and C. There was a Brawley employee went to my house and spoke to my wife. My wife she's disabled, has a heart disease, and he wanted her to convey something to the owner of the apartment where I live. I don't know what, but I want to know who the person is and what he wanted. If it had to do with the stop sign. They need a stop sign there because 2 weeks ago there were 2 girls. They were about 5 feet inside the street when there was a pickup truck coming from the north going south, and they were already inside the street about 5 feet. If I remember correctly, anytime one foot is in the street and one's on the curb, vehicle has to stop. That's why I say they need a stop sign there. I also want to know who came over there, what he wanted to tell me.
Well, the only thing I can say, sir, is that we do analysis on the intersections for stop signs in a general fashion, and based upon requests from the public, we will take a look at that intersection, see if a stop sign is warranted or if we can even do it there, and then we'll proceed from there. But we'll certainly take that and provide some direction to Public Works regarding that. And usually what we do is we do a study on whether the stop sign is warranted and whether it makes it safer or not, and then we look at each intersection individually. So we'll take that. We'll take your comments under consideration, and we'll direct Public Works to take a look at that intersection.
believe
The guy that spoke to you, I don't know who it was, I don't know, who it came from. That might be a little more difficult for us to ascertain.
It's been about a year ago. I first moved there about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And about 15 months, there was an accident there, and the driver was killed. So that's why I say it's dangerous. And they also wrecked my car, and they also ran over my dog, which is still costing me over $5,000.
Okay. Well, we'll certainly take all that information under consideration. Thank you for your input, and with that,
Well, I'd
we'll
like
proceed.
to know who that person was that went over there.
And I would be happy to try to help you find that person out, but I'm not so sure that's going to be possible. We'll certainly make an effort. And I don't know who it was, if it was from Public Works, if it was from planning. I have no idea who would have went to your house. You would have to give me more details.
Well, are you gonna look into it? Do I have to go over there?
I will certainly look into it, but my suggestion might be that you do call or talk to your wife and get some additional information as to what they look like, when they came, what was the date and the time, and then we can go from there.
Just said he worked for the city of Brawley. He was a public employee.
Okay, well, that doesn't help me very much, but we'll look into it and see if we can ascertain.
If I go to Public Works.
That might be the best place to start.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Camino.
Okay. Any other public comments?
Good evening. I'm Judy Grant. I believe most of you, I was Mrs. Grant to you. I live here in Brawley. I'm a retired teacher, and I'm not speaking to you tonight as a member of the library board. I'm speaking to you about concerns I have as a Brawley resident. Dr. Seuss, when he wished to speak about the trees, created the Lorax. I'm not that gifted with rhyming, so I'm going to speak to you as myself about my concerns that I have for our library and its current operation. Most of us are familiar with the adage about actions speaking louder than words, and sometimes I feel like that our city's actions say that our library and its place in our community isn't very important. In February of 2020, the library was open and I thought functioning well. We had cut our days of operation back by one because of a budget request, but we were open for business. COVID hit in March, and shortly after St. Patrick's Day, the library was closed, and then shortly after that, all of the staff was let go because there was no money to pay their salaries. No one has ever adequately answered where the money went that was there in February. Later on in the summer, it was agreed to let us begin curbside pickup for 2 days a week. But again, there was no money to hire a part-time person to assist the library director. The Friends of the Library gave the money to pay her salary. Eventually, an interim director was hired, cleaning schedules set up, and the library began to operate again on a very bare bones budget. A new director was hired, and he was surprised that there wasn't even money in our budget to buy a box of crayons for the reading programs. He was told things would improve with the passage of the user utility tax. It did pass, but we still couldn't buy crayons. He left for greener pastures, and now we have another interim who is doing a terrific job at the library with very limited funds. If the Valley libraries were in a competition like a sports team, our library is still in the locker room suiting up. Calexico has won the bell and hit the 62nd home run. I can only speculate that they are better at writing grants than we are. Camarena has maintained a huge presence in their community through all of this COVID business and what has come after. And they are doing very well, being what a library should be in its town. I believe we have a grant writer, and that person has been successful in getting money for our fire and police departments, as they should. Public safety should always come first. But there are hundreds of small grants our library can apply for. There are people in Brawley, some in this room, who could help with pursuing these grants. Coaches, when they're preparing for a game, do scouting reports to see what they're up against. The military does a reconnaissance mission before they go into the battle. Let's go look at the Camarena Library. Let's go talk to them, see how they have managed to succeed with what they are doing. Monday's paper listed 25 activities that are happening this week at the Camarena Library. One is going on right now. It is a reading for moms and young children that began at 5:30. My other concern with our limited budget is the lack of overtime money to pay our staff. You've shut down our ability to have evening programs. We used to have speakers and authors come to the library. We can't do that now because there's no overtime pay. All of you have attended one or more Angel Teas. We can't have them anymore because we can't be open because we can't pay the staff. I don't know how we're going to do Saturday with Santa this year. Several of you were there last year. You read stories, you sang Christmas carols. It was a success. The children in our community enjoyed it. The library isn't open on Saturday any longer. There's no money for overtime. We gave up our Saturdays so the Del Rio branch could reopen, as it should have, but we should not have had to give up Saturday to have Del Rio open for 2 days. You've taken away the ability of the Friends of the Library to function and to help support the library through fundraisers. A precious man named Pablo Garcia, who's a local artist, came to our last board meeting, and he offered one of his works of art as something that we could raffle off to raise money to help the library, because the library was so instrumental to him when he was trying to put together a piece on a family relative who did something chasing Pancho Villa. It would be an interesting program. We have a talented staff at our library. They can tutor. They show patrons how to look for a job. They help people learn to speak English. They read stories to children. They can help teens from the high school find a book that they need for school. And they can share what's new with someone like Sam, who is an avid reader and wants to know what we've got. I'm also concerned that every time Main Street is closed for an event, the library gets closed and remains closed until workers can come and remove the fencing. Again, overtime pay. Shakespeare in Henry VI wrote, "Ignorance is the curse of God, knowledge the wings wherewith we fly to heaven." That's what our libraries do. They fight against ignorance. Our community and our country need more angels flying to heaven. I urge you, when you review our budget shortly, to find a way to improve the financial situation for the library. We should have money for crayons. Let your actions speak up. Brawley should be able to offer its residents books and baseballs. They shouldn't have to pick one or the other. Thank you for your time. And can I have just one more little moment? Just one,
Just a
please,
moment.
Sam.
A little moment.
On behalf of all of us at the library, because I know you're stepping away from all of this, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all the years that you have given to us with your help and your support and your love.
Well,
We appreciate it so very much.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that, and I thank you, ladies, and all the other people that have gone through the library board and been on the library board all those years and provided the library with guidance for the programs that they do offer. As a lifelong resident here, I utilize the library very much and really do love it.
Is that
So-
a tier? Is that a
Yeah,
tier?
well, almost. Almost, not quite. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, so now we'll move to item B, which is, item A of the public comments, which is, unless there's any other public comments. If there's not, then I'll move to item A, which is presentation of proclamation in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, presented to Arita Chin, Executive Director of Improvide Cancer Support Center here in Brawley. And I will read the proclamation. If you'll allow me, I'll read the proclamation, and then we'll present it to you. Okay. Okay, this is the proclamation for National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's whereas breast cancer touches the lives of Americans from every background and in every community across our nation. And although we have made great strides in combating the devastating illness, more than 200,000 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year, and tens of thousands are expected to lose their lives to the disease. And whereas during National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we honor those we have lost, lend our strength to those who carry on the fight, and pledge to educate ourselves and our loved ones about this tragic disease. And whereas the exact causes of breast cancer are unknown, understanding the risk factors is essential to prevention, as well as promoting early detection and awareness of personal and family history of breast cancer. And whereas women and men are encouraged to speak with their healthcare providers about breast cancer and to visit www.cancer.gov to learn more about symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment. And whereas this month we stand with the mothers, daughters, fathers, sons, sisters, brothers, and community members who have been affected by breast cancer, and we recognize the ongoing efforts of dedicated advocates, researchers, and healthcare providers who strive daily to defeat this terrible disease. In the memory of loved ones lost, inspired by the resilience of those living with the disease, and strengthen our resolve to lead our nation toward a future free from cancer in all of its forms. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Sam Couchman, Mayor of the City of Brawley, California, do hereby proclaim October 2022 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Brawley, and encourage citizens, government agencies, private businesses, nonprofit organizations, and all other interested groups to join in activities that will increase awareness of what Americans can do to prevent breast cancer. And with that, I will present you with the proclamation.
Just smile.
Mayor Couchman, council members, and officials, we'd like to say thank you so much for having us here today. My name is Arita Chin, and I'm the Executive Director of the Imperial Valley Cancer Support Center. And next to me is my partner in crime, Sarah Cruz, who she and I are the two people that try and keep this organization running. Already this year, we have seen serviced and supplied any kind of emotional support and products to over 300 people this year alone. 90% of the people that we see are breast cancer patients. But Sarah and I have extended and expanded our services to not just breast cancer, but to include anyone, male or female, with cancer. But we want the men here to know that breast cancer is also found in men, and over 500 men will die this year alone of breast cancer. So we encourage you to be checked. We ask you to check yourselves like women do each and every month, because you'd be surprised. You know your body better than anyone. And so we thank the city for the support you've given us. We've been together here for 6 years. We've seen over 600 people. We still service people and provide transportation. We provide emotional support, hotel reservations. We supply mastectomy products. Anything that people need, we find a way to provide it. So we'd like to thank Brawley and all of you for supporting our efforts to keep people healthy and let them know what they can do to prevent cancer. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arita. Okay. So now we'll go to item 2B, which is the presentation of the proclamation in honor of Fire Prevention Week in the City of Brawley, presented to Chief Mike York, City of Brawley Fire Department. And let me find that one. 7, okay. All right. So I'll read the proclamation, then we'll let you have a few words, and I'll present it to you. This is the proclamation designating October 9th through the 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week in the City of Brawley. Whereas the City of Brawley is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at most significant risk from fire, and whereas the City of Brawley residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire, and whereas the City of Brawley first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, and whereas the 2022 Fire Prevention Week theme, Fire Don't Wait, Plan Your Escape, effectively serves to remind the city of Brawley that it is essential to have a home fire escape plan. Therefore, I, Sam Couchman, Mayor of the City of Brawley, do hereby proclaim October 9th through the 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week throughout Brawley, California, and urge citizens to develop a home fire escape plan with all members of the household and practice it twice a year, and to participate in the many public safety activities and efforts of Brawley's fire and emergency services during Fire Prevention Week of 2022. And so with that, I'll present you with the proclamation.
Thank you, sir.
It's being read.
I keep forgetting.
You notice how Chief York stood away so you could be cropped out later?
I saw
You notice
that. I hosted the black
noticed
on
that?
you guys' faces.
Chief,
I was actually waiting for the selfie.
you look for the selfie.
Thank you, Mayor Couchman and city council members. This is many years in a row that we've done our Fire Prevention Week and our open house. Armando, can you please share the flyer? At the culmination of Fire Prevention Week this year, we will be having our annual Fire Department open house at our Station 2 facility, 1505 Jones Street. We invite all the public to come and join us to attend. We're going to be pretty much celebrating a lot of the events that we were spoken about in the proclamation. We're going to be talking about escape plans. We're going to talk about home safety. We're going to have a lot of our stakeholder agencies and our public partners out there. We're going to have AMR Ambulance, Reach Medical, Mercy Air, Brawley PD, the Red Cross, the Burn Institute. We're going to have a lot of people in our house that are going to have a lot to share, a lot to offer. And it's really a fun event. There'll be refreshments available and some demonstrations and some good information for everyone to take home and just make their homes safer and hopefully prevent some of these things that we are against entirely. So thank you very much.
It's always a great event. The kids enjoy it.
Yeah.
It is.
It always is.
We had to take a little break because of COVID, like many things,
Right.
but we're back, and we have our new fire marshal who's working full time on this, and it's his
good.
first one, and he is determined to
be
make it
very
the
cool.
best one, and I think he's going to do a very good job at it.
Get that information out to us, and we'll share it on social media and get the message out and get
He's
people
good
out
at
there.
social.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's gonna have a nice big audience. It's gonna be good. I like it.
And I have a home escape plan. I told the wife, grab the dog and run.
Right?
That's the only plan we have.
That sounds like a very well thought out plan.
Hey, it
Dogs,
is. It's
get out.
perfect. Yeah, get the dog and get out. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now we'll go to item number 3, and that's our consent agenda approved in one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Okay.
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, that carries. Okay. Now we'll go to item number 4, which is our city manager report, and I think we'll defer that, for tonight, and so we'll move forward from there. 5 is regular business, and 5A is discuss and approve proposal by GAFCON Incorporated for a suitability and assessment review of Brawley's decommissioned water treatment plant for development, demolition costs, and required site improvements. Further authorize the city manager to execute the agreement with GAFCON Incorporated for a not-to-exceed amount of $42,000. This was an item tabled from September 20 of 2022, and it's presented by Tyler Salcido, but I'm assuming that, Bill, you will present that tonight.
Well, the folks from GAFCON are here. If council has more questions for him.
Does anyone from the council have any additional questions on this item?
Yeah, I have a couple. I noticed that also in our discussions we had, you guys had identified some resources that could possibly pay for these fees or obviously be refunded later. Have you guys identified any resources as of yet?
Yes, Councilman, we have been working with a number of potential resources. We have had discussions with NAD Bank, which is the North American Development Bank based out of San Antonio. They've got some very intriguing programs that are offered to border communities. Brawley does qualify for one of the grant application programs that they have that we would propose, that we would push forward with to help you and provide the assistance you would need to obtain that grant. And we've also been working with USDA. And there's a couple of USDA grant applications that also would be of interest that we would also work to execute and submit on your behalf.
And then also, I forgot to ask this last time, I'm sorry, was that the services contract, you're good with the timeline?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Any additional questions? Anybody have anything?
Mr. Mayor, just a point of clarification. The use of the funds, so the public understands, it's not from the general fund, it's from the water treatment fund. So that, I think, is important to mention.
I think it's also important to mention that that area has been under discussion and comments from public and everybody for many, many years, and we'd be happy to entertain some way to do something with that property in a valued way here for the city of Brawley. So we're certainly looking forward to this, and we're looking forward to maybe the future with that, where we can really actually accomplish something there and get that property utilized in some way, because it's been there a long time.
Mr. Mayor, this item was tabled from our last meeting to give all of council an opportunity to review the plan that was proposed previously.
In 2007.
Yeah, 2007,
Yep.
so.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to review it. I'm sorry.
No, it was
Just so I had the opportunity to review it, and the differences are obviously, just as you pointed out last meeting, so thank you for that.
Okay, so with that, I'll entertain a motion if there's nothing from the public on this.
Sorry, Councilman.
I'll make a motion, but I'll make just if I wanted to make a comment too, Mr. Mayor, and then I'll move forward with the motion. But I appreciate, again, the Mayor Pro Tem kind of raising this topic up. It does, I do put definitely some weight on the fact that our staff has thoroughly looked at this in terms of the recommendation, and I do say, whether it's directly, it was from discussions we've had in past workshops that we've had, some of the, obviously, the areas and issues in the county. I know, Mr. Benson, when we met, I don't know, within the year, and again, discussed the, I forgot what it's called, the Ghost Hotel, and some of the projects. I really think this is going to take a unique, not just expertise, but organization that's going to come in, I think, toward this council's issue of not just funding a $42,000 study, but more importantly, what are the actionable steps we can take after this? Can we actually get movement on this? And I feel pretty confident with GAFCON and their background that can happen. So this is an opportunity. I also know Victor is kind of our local throat to choke, so that's good too.
I don't know if I'd call it that. That's probably the best
way to describe that.
Our local throat to choke.
There you go.
That's a good one.
That's why we hired him.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So I feel pretty confident with that. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move forward with this study as presented on the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Nava, I would suggest that whenever you present before anybody, you can pitch it that way. Say, I am the local throat to choke if anything goes wrong, right? So I think that'll prevent things from being tabled in the future, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Very good there,
Okay.
Councilmember Wharton, I like that.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Okay, 5B, discuss, review, and adopt proposed reimbursement agreement with San Pedro Brawley LLC, reimbursement agreement whereby future developers of the benefited parcel will be required to pay their fair share of the cost of the off-site improvements installed by the developer, and that's also presented by the city manager.
Right, so city manager had me do the staff report on this. Basically, what this is this LLC has purchased some of the lots at Lucky Ranch, but not all of them. And in order to get building permits, the city's going to require that they install infrastructure that's sufficient to service all of the lots. And this is common practice. That's so you don't make redundant improvements and things like that. But the government code requires that if you make a developer do that, that there's be a reimbursement agreement in place, recorded against those lots, so that future development would have to pay their fair share. This is common practice in the industry. Sent this to the engineering department, make sure the figures are correct, reasonable, and then I reviewed the agreement for form, and it looks fine.
Very well. Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the item.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, anything from the public? Nope. Okay. Okay, then, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, should we make mention the reason, not a reason, but the fact that the city manager's not present? It wasn't never, he's absent, so
Yeah.
should there be
Should
something
we
said
make a
publicly?
notice?
I think there should.
Should be on record.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just as a public notice, the city manager is not available tonight. He was here for our closed session, but he's had to go leave for the rest of this meeting. But Bill is filling in for right now and presenting the things to us, the items to us.
And Tommy.
And Tom.
also.
And Tom.
Thank you, Mr.
Tommy
Mayor.
Garcia.
Just for public's sake.
Okay, just for public information. Okay. Item 5C, discuss and approve amendment number 1 for Ashworth Lininger Group continuing industrial pretreatment support services to changes associated with the Colorado River Basin Regional Water Quality Control Board. Further authorize city manager to execute the agreement with Ashworth Lininger Group in the amount not to exceed $47,356.41. And that's to be presented by Guillermo, but we have somebody else here presenting. So please state your name, though.
Hi, everybody. My name is Pablo Ramirez. I'm the Associate Civil Engineer for the Department of Public Works, and I'll be stepping in for Guillermo today. He's not in. And our recommendation is to review and approve amendment number 1 for Ashworth Lininger Group, ALG, to continue providing industrial pretreatment support services for changes associated with the Colorado River Basin Regional Water Quality Control Board. That's a long name. Pretreatment program administration, renewal permitting of the current 3 significant industrial users, and support the city's pretreatment program in the amount not to exceed $47,356.41, and authorize the city manager to execute the amendment. A bit of background information on this amendment. The purpose of the pretreatment program is to establish industrial discharge limitations for significant industrial users, SIU, that protect the sewer collection system, wastewater treatment plant, its operators, as well as the environment from harm, and eliminate any toxicity pass-through or process interference, ensuring the city's wastewater effluent discharge remains in compliance with the state California-issued MPDES permit obligations.
Mr. Mayor, this is coming from the wastewater treatment fund, again, not from the general fund, so I think that's important to clear out. And they, Ashworth, I'm going to mispronounce the name. The Ashworth Group was the preferred vendor for this by staff's recommendation. So I would make a motion to approve the item.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a second. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to item 5D, which is discuss and approve agreement between the City of Brawley and Cal OES to receive Type 1 fire engine with outfitted equipment. Additionally, approve travel over 500 miles for fire department staff to pick up and deliver vehicle to Brawley. Further authorize Fire Chief Mike York to execute the Cal OES apparatus loan agreement presented by Chief Mike York, City of Brawley Fire Department.
Good evening again, Mayor Couchman and City Council, staff, and public. So a little bit of background information. As we've discussed in the past, the fleet of apparatus that is being deployed by the Brawley Fire Department, it's aging. We've been taking steps to improve that. This board approved the purchase of a new engine several months ago, which we will be receiving hopefully in February or March of next year. Unfortunately, we have a few engines that are out there running that are reaching the 20-year mark. They have many miles, many hours on them, and you know, when it rains, it pours, and we had 2 of our frontline fire engines break down at the same time with some very, very expensive anticipated repairs. Thankfully, I was able to reach out to our local assistant chief from Cal OES and request the possibility of borrowing an engine and it was approved. You have the backup material with a loan agreement. What they will do is they're going to loan us this engine. It will be housed in our station, and we will only use it if any of our remaining apparatus come out of service. So we will have an engine to use. We will always be able to staff both of our stations with a fire engine. So what that does, other than give us a new engine, in addition to giving us an engine in the city to run, it's going to allow us to take the time to properly diagnose and get competitive bids and do a cost analysis on those remaining engines, if it's worthwhile putting the money into them, or if we need to look at future purchases, leases, or et cetera.
Okay, sounds like a good move.
It very much is. So the only thing it's going to cost us is because we're borrowing it, it's not out on a state assignment, we have to pay for fuel, we have to pay for any maintenance or repairs that come across from our use, and we have to go and pick it up.
You're going to drive it back?
I have two of my staff that, so if you remember, you guys approved that we became an assignee for a Cal OES engine
Yes,
that
we
is
did.
for state
Yes.
assignment. I have two of my firefighters that went up and they were able to interface with the crew up there, get the training, and drove back, and I'll be utilizing the same two firefighters. They have knowledge of
Good.
the program.
Is this like the other one that they provided to us, or is this different type of
So
engine?
the engine that's here in our city on assignment is what we call a Type 6 fire engine. It's a small brush truck. It's designed four-wheel drive for getting up to these big forest fires, et cetera. What we're borrowing is called a Type 1, and that's your typical fire engine. I haven't seen it yet, but I anticipate the only difference between our engine and theirs is ours is red, and it's going to be yellow, green tennis ball
Yellow,
color.
green, or something? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That sounds good then. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion and second. Any further discussion? If not, all
Just
the...
a, just
oh,
a
go
comment.
ahead.
I
Go
did
ahead.
notice that there was a, Tony Rohodas, his name was on the letter.
Yes.
yeah,
So
Yes, he works
former
for
fire
Cal
chief,
Right.
county
Yes.
CEO is a Cal
Cal
OES
OES.
assistant
Yeah,
chief
right,
for
right.
our region, and he was our contact. He's very helpful for
Good.
all of these programs.
Fantastic.
You know, one further question, Chief. Will this engine also be used for fires that you're called to further up the state?
So in the letter of request, we did mention, so getting a request from the state for a Type 1 assignment is very rare since it's a city engine. In the letter of request that I issued to Cal OES, I did ask that for if any reason they would ask us to deploy the Type 1, that they would alleviate us from our responsibility to deploy the Type 6. So they can
Oh.
have one or the other,
Yeah,
but we
right.
can't commit to deploying two engines out of our city. We don't have the staff for that. And they're very cognizant of that and willing to work with us.
Great.
Is there a time frame with respect to the loan period?
Yes, sir. So they'll allow us, the loan agreement allows for 1 year with 3-month lookbacks. So every 3 months we'll evaluate, and I'm anticipating, obviously, we'll have a new engine in
Right.
Q1 of '23, and we're looking,
That will
hopefully, at least
alleviate that.
one of our existing engines back up and running within the next month or two.
Fantastic.
Very good.
There's a motion and a
Okay.
second. There's a motion and a
I
second.
know. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, approved.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
One more item.
Okay, now, keep
Jaws of
going.
life.
Now we'll go to 5E, which is discuss and approve the sole source purchase of the Hearst battery-powered extrication tools in the amount of $41,278.38. Hydraulic-powered extricated tools, also known as the Jaws of Life, mission critical and removal of trapped occupants from damaged and deformed automobiles, presented by Chief Mike York, City of Brawley Fire Department. I don't know why I'm having trouble with that word.
Chief, if you could just shorten it for a mayor and just say Jaws of Life. that'd be
Jaws of
Life
Life
it
is
is.
perfect, I can say
Absolutely.
that. you know.
I'm giving you a proclamation and this one. This is thank you for
Extrication.
tonight, sir. Thank you again.
Extraction.
In front of you is a
Extraction
request
is
for
better.
the purchase of
Extraction
new
tools.
Jaws of Life for our city. So as we're entering a new era, as everybody who does any kind of handiwork around the house knows, battery powered is the future. We are going to have a state mandate getting rid of gasoline powered stuff in the very near future. We're not sure how it's going to affect public safety, but the good news is the battery-powered equipment that's available now works better than our old hydraulic equipment, and we no longer have to carry around a very heavy gasoline-powered generator.
Hey, that's cool.
So my staff did do, several months ago, they did a product review. We had vendors come out with different sets of tools. We cut a car apart. We got feedback from my staff. And the Hearst tools, among being the most popular and matching some of the equipment we already have in our fleet, they really came out on top for my staff's opinion. We did anticipate this purchase during budget prep last year, and it was included in our fire department's budget. It's in front of you as an item because of the price expenditures.
Okay.
Everything is electric now, even like construction sites,
Everything.
lithium-based power.
Everything is
That's what
going.
we're working with. I mean, it's not,
I have all
you
these
know.
battery-powered tools.
We are evaluating, going forward, we're evaluating battery-powered chainsaws and
Right.
rotary saws.
All of those
Everything,
types of
everything
things.
we use on construction is now battery
Yeah,
powered.
Yeah.
and it lasts, you know.
Everything's going
It
there.
lasts quite a bit, so.
You said it's, that you have tools currently that match this system? Are they battery-powered tools, or are these hydraulic? Is this like a hydraulic pump that works off of a battery instead of a gas?
So each tool has its own pump built into it, and so you snap the battery in, it runs its own. The actual function of the tool is still hydraulic. It's just a battery electric powered pump that runs it with everything self-contained on the tool.
Self-contained.
So there's no hoses. So our older prior units, you had a generator
Yeah.
with the hoses that ran to it,
Hoses.
so you had
Easier
mobility
to
issues.
Yeah, can you imagine?
So-
I mean, just the ease of saving
You just
somebody?
pull it out.
Right, so the
Right.
overall package is
Maybe
lighter
quicker.
weight, everything's self-contained, and another, for me, they're maintenance-free. You don't open them up, you don't have to do anything.
Charge the battery, that's it.
Everything's self-contained.
Or a busted hose somewhere, you know, while
Exactly.
you're using it, yeah.
Yeah, and so the Type 6 that we received from Cal OES has the same unit, so we've been able to train with them already, so there'll be some interchangeability there.
And I imagine it's quicker to use as well, right?
Right, they come off, we don't have to fire anything up.
Yeah.
It just, like you're
It's
aware,
immediate.
if the light on the battery is green, you push
Yeah.
the button, it's gonna work
Love
right now.
technology.
So, and it's quieter.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve item 5E.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, I have a second. Okay, any discussion?
That's
Okay.
just, I'd like to highlight just it is an equipment expenditure from their department, so it is.
In their
it's
budget.
Within their budget, so.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, also just, I like the fact that, for the public too, the sole source documentation's in there too, and the justification, as you already articulated, so.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Chief.
Right by
Item
work.
number 6 is informational reports. It's the update on the Brawley Declaration of Local Emergency as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. If you have any questions for the chief, he'll answer those. Otherwise, it's all in your report there. I don't think things have changed a whole lot. Okay. Okay, so then we'll go to item 7, which is our city council member reports, and I'll start with Mr. Hamby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't remember if, in the last meeting, if we had already attended the San Diego State University check presentation.
We did, right, that day, right
That day,
before the
okay.
meeting, right?
Also, I got to attend a couple of candidate forums. I'm running for reelection, and it was a couple of interesting events and some good questions. The first one was put on by the Imperial County Association of Realtors, so it had more of the skew was more toward housing and how we as a city or as city council members can help with balanced growth. And then one last night here in Chambers, and it was, it was an honor to sit up with the candidates and to try to represent the city council as it sits now, and to talk about things that we've been able to accomplish as a team, not just the council, but city management, city leadership. And it was just a good exercise in kind of reminding myself and others what really has been accomplished over the last 2 years especially. Some things that are, I call them miraculous because there's no other way to describe some of the luck that we've had, but some of it is just tied to making some good decisions and having created or put together a really good team of leadership, an A team. And so I am, as as I reminisced around my birthday time about having been on for almost 5 years, it really is neat to see the changes that have taken place in the city of Brawley, not just physically, but within our leadership, staff, and so it's just an honor to serve on this council with the rest of these council members and to serve along with Tyler as city manager. So that's all I have to report, but I just want to say I was honored to be able to try to represent the council well last night.
Councilmember Wharton?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have much to report, much of what's been going on for me going into this new month of October. There's a lot of family and personal stuff coming up, including a wedding and some other plans such as that, and family coming in. So I do know, as the weather hopefully breaks a little further, a lot of stuff coming up, not just in October, but obviously we're heading toward the big cattle call season, so look forward to all that. But outside of that, just continuing to appreciate the direction that both leadership, staff, and this council's pressing as we're ending another fiscal year. I shouldn't say fiscal year, calendar year, and getting ready to again, hopefully achieve a lot of the things that we set out to do at the beginning of the year. So again, Mr. Mayor, and I will echo, I know we'll have a few more opportunities, but I want to echo Mrs. Grant's comments again. As these meetings are going to start checking off, I assume you might be counting them. But again, appreciate the year that you've been having, and I wish you well for the last few meetings that we have going into this election and then new reorganization. So.
Thank you very much.
If you could add as mayor, because it makes it sound like he's going to be gone forever, you know what I mean? So that's
I thought I was the governor.
Right, that's true, you are.
I think he's going to be a public commenter. Is
Yeah,
what he's going to be.
Right, you'll be here?
I'll still be around.
I bet you will.
I'll still be irritating all of you. Go ahead.
And technically, we have to address you as Mr. Mayor, right?
Right, yeah.
Your honor or sir or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
because I think you go out as mayor. you're-
Almighty.
However,
I
mayor.
will call you by your Christian name.
I don't think I have one.
Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so it's been a couple quiet weeks, but I did attend the American Legion fundraiser this past Friday. I'd like to point out that the El Centro mayor was there, but we couldn't find the Brawley mayor anywhere. Sorry. They said make sure to bring it up.
You were there.
I was there.
You were represented.
That's right.
And that's what it takes.
But I would say it was a good move though, because comedians really had fun with the El Centro mayor.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go. The comedians tend to have fun with whoever, whatever politicians there.
Yeah, we're just down there prepping. You guys know, with Cattle Call Day coming around, rodeo and whatnot. Also, Veterans Day is coming around. So the festivities obviously kick up, and there's a lot of planning to do for the next month. I'd also like to ask, just on my comments here, last city council meeting, we brought up the Safe Route to School plan that was put forth, I think, in 2017, 2016. If perhaps at the next meeting we can come back and see if there's any plan on how to implement this. This plan that was put forth in 6 years ago. So that's one. And the other is I've been getting a lot of calls and complaints from business owners of many of the businesses that are operating out of homes. We don't know that the law has changed, so folks can operate kitchens and whatnot out of their homes. But there are a lot of other businesses that are going on right now that are not, according to them, licensed. So I'd like to point that out. Perhaps staff can take a look at that. I brought that up last week, last meeting to our city attorney, and just kind of get the ball rolling. Perhaps notify folks on what's required on how to acquire a business license and how to be a legitimate business, right? Because we have businesses like ourselves paying taxes and doing anything we have to do, and then others that are not. And that's unfair to those who have to go, put so much out of pocket and doing things right. So
It is very limited, like the types of businesses that can work out of a residential.
Yes.
You
Right.
can't have clientele there.
No.
You can't have, there are a lot of restrictions. So
Yeah.
I know there are like mechanics at home and things like
Yeah.
that are having,
There's that.
Yeah.
there's also that consumer protection. I mean,
Right.
you got all these at-home nail salons and hair salons.
Right.
You
And
burn
see, that's
somebody's hair
not,
off.
and that's not
right? I mean, I'm just thinking of all the stuff they got to work with. But those are the complaints that are coming in. If we could perhaps start looking at that, and I would encourage staff to help these folks, become legitimate businesses versus going right after them. But, let's do what we need to do. So thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Very good, very good. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, thank you. So I did participate at the Imperial County Transportation Commission meeting at our last meeting a few days ago, and so we're in the process of hiring and selecting a full-time executive director. And so for those of you who are not familiar with ICTC, they are the organization that is responsible for contracting all of the busing services. So, and I'm talking about public transit. So like the Gold Line in Brawley, like the transit system that goes between here and El Centro or Calexico or whatever it is, right? And so that is, Mark Baza was our executive director for quite some time, tremendous amount of experience and a lot of contacts throughout the region. And with Caltrans, which is very, very important because we take on projects like the bridge widening projects, other things that are very important. In fact, even the bypass was, ICTC was responsible for that in helping guide that through. And so we're in that process now. We should have somebody selected in the near future. There are some quality candidates, and we'll see. There is an interim executive director, David Aguirre. He's doing a great job, and so we'll see where things end up, and I'll update council as we move forward.
And we met David, right, at that tour that we had
Yes,
here?
absolutely.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. Another, happy to see that the firehouse, the open house at the fire department's back on, and that's great news. For those of you who haven't attended, I encourage you to do it. I mean, even if you don't have children, go out there, see the apparatus, see the equipment, see how things function. If you haven't taken a visit over to that fire station, please do. It's an opportunity to see it up close, and quite honestly, it's impressive. So just check it out for yourself, and then they'll have, the helicopter will be out there, we'll have other things out there, and I think Chief has mentioned some things. So please make it a point to be out there. It's, I think, important for the public, and it's a good time to re-engage ourselves with everybody. So it's good stuff for everybody. Now, Councilmember Castro, with respect to the safe routes to school, what we can probably schedule is maybe even through Zoom, David Salgado, the local representative, maybe he can present to us and give an update on some of the things that not are just related to safe routes to school, but the other things that SCAG is working on that impact our community. And there are like grant opportunities and other things that staff is aware of, but maybe as a council, we're not as familiar with. So I think that'll be good. And just want to thank staff and everybody that's working hard. Our city manager's not in today, and I know that everybody's working very hard, and we're making improvements in our community. It's good to see, and there's development and a lot of good things taking place. I'm excited about Catacall and all the events. I think there's a little bit of return to normalcy now, and so I'm happy to see it. And just want to wish everybody well. Thank you all very much.
Mayor Pro Tem, a quick question. Last night at the forum, I was speaking with David Cañas from the chamber, and he mentioned the new grocery outlet and how there's not a bus stop nearby there.
I've already proposed that.
Okay.
So that is one thing that I did propose. So we're working on trying to get a bus stop there, and it may require a crosswalk, and so that's the only aspect of it that might be a little bit difficult. Yeah, right. And so, but we're working on that. So that would be certainly, and I quite honestly, there's going to be, I think, the chamber mixer, the opening chamber mixer at the grocery outlet. I want to make sure that those businesses succeed because, I know right now it's probably due to construction. The fences are still up.
Yeah.
And so that, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, is a detraction for people. They don't necessarily know. And
May think it's still closed.
It's still closed, or it's not as, open and friendly, you know what I mean? And so, great looking store. If you have a chance, please go and visit. I think it's really important that we support, these businesses that are making millions of dollars of investment to be here. So, and they have really unique products, to be quite honest. I've been through there, and there's some finds that you'll get, kind of like in outlet stores, like for clothing, where you'll find like really high-end brands at some things, at a lower price. You'll do that same there with grocery products. So check it out. I promote them and promote anybody else who's investing millions of dollars. because I heard the debate last night, and I'll just comment on this. I know some people think that things aren't taking place in Brawley, but I'll fire off so many things that are, because there are. And there's so much money being invested in our community, not just housing development, but in industries out here. We have lithium in major industry within our city limits. We have, not just grocery outlet, but other stores that are providing those services for our public, hiring people, so there's a lot moving forward. There's downtown development, people investing hundreds of thousands of dollars to make investment, myself included. So I speak with my money, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I hear things like that, it's like, look, I get it. There's a lot to improve within our community. We all know that. But we can't sit here and say over the past 2 years, if you look at our council meetings, how much money we have not only spent on improving our community, but the technology upgrades for our community, the money spent not just in public safety, but technology upgrades, all the things to help our stakeholders, to help our community thrive, right? And not only that, but how many things have we not done as a council, where we've spent intelligent dollars to get great information. Right. We heard some of it today, right?
Yep.
We heard some of it today that's exciting, and it's going to change the way this city operates. But it's never been done, not even in the time that I've been here, until the past 2 years, where we really focused in on leadership changes and all these other things. So it's exciting stuff. But I hear it from people like, well, nothing's happening. That is absolutely not true. You know what that tells me? That they don't know what they're talking about. That's what that tells me.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'll stop there because I'll go on all night. But anyway, thank you all.
I would like to point out, there was a question by a resident that claimed that crime was skyrocketing here in Brawley or something like that. And we do have the numbers, and the city's cleaned up quite a bit.
Not
The
only
chief
that,
is
but
doing
our
a great
chief is
job.
doing a great job.
You're doing a great job, Chief.
Not only the use of technology, but we have a command staff, we have a new chief, we have commanders, new commanders, we have, we recently made changes to the hiring practices to help retain staff. There's so many things that we've done, and I get really passionate about it because it's true. All of that is true.
And the numbers support that.
And
the
the
data
numbers
supports it.
Absolutely. But think of all the money that we have spent, and not just that, throwing money at fixing a problem, but hiring quality people to make things happen. And quite honestly, leadership changes change everything. We know that. And so this is a good team. This is a good, solid team. So if the public's listening, just know that you're going to hear, and if you're hearing it from your friends, quite honestly, that's not the best resource, okay? Hear it from the people that are actually doing it. If you want to have a conversation with the chief, have a conversation with the chief. You want to have a conversation with me, have a conversation with me. Have a conversation with the people actually doing it and knowing it. So, opinions are, what opinions are like. You know what I mean? It's like we all know that,
go there.
right? Sure. But, right? So, don't listen to opinion, listen to fact.
guys.
Anyway, that's my
Okay.
soapbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll continue that. We'd like you to really go take a look at the new stores that are coming in. Dollar General needs your support, I'm sure.
There's another.
Indy Dwell is a new business coming in, a new industrial business. They're going to be
200
doing
jobs.
the modular home type development and stuff and shipping
200
those
jobs.
out. We
All
have
under construction,
Grocery
Mr. Mayor,
Outlet,
right now?
we have Brawley Creamery, we have a lot of businesses downtown that are going in. We have, I think, a Mexican restaurant that's changing locations down there. They're working on the burned-out building there on the Main Street as an event center type setup, and they're doing some work down there. So I do urge everybody to go around, look at all the housing that's going in, look at all the low-income housing that's also going in to assist those people that like farm workers and other people that may need assistance with housing. We're solving some problems. I think we're solving some problems with the homeless. We're going to always have some homeless. We just have to control that activity and see what we can do about that. But
Mayor,
all of that is going.
If I could add something to
Yes,
your
go ahead.
comment.
Go ahead.
With respect to housing units, there's about 7,000 planned housing units here. We have, the industrial development that's out there, the Indy Dwell project that's right off, the 111, and that's under construction now. Drive by it now. Those are hundreds of jobs. So it's not just about a small downtown business. I encourage that too. But there's other things that are coming. We have lithium energy companies that are located in Brawley. The expectation that's going to bring in thousands of people, right? And we're probably going to benefit the most as our community. So we're trying to plan for all those things.
Certainly the North End.
Certainly the North End. but we are the largest community in the north end.
Yes, correct.
And so, and we have the infrastructure, we have the wastewater capacity, we have the water capacity, we have the things that people need in order to succeed. So, anyway, I mean, I get fired up because I hear people say and make comments that are not qualified comments.
Right.
Well, they're
You know?
patently false.
They are.
Yeah.
But, you know.
And we have the San Diego State, which just received $80 million for an expansion here in the Brawley, at the Brawley campus. That's amazing. As a San Diego State graduate, and went to Calexico to school for San Diego State and got my 4-year degree. That's amazing for Brawley, and I think it's something that we need to support. And I've talked to the new dean, and I've talked to the president of San Diego State, and I've met some of the individuals responsible for the $80 million, and really the taxpayers are responsible for that, because that $80 million is coming from the state of California to our area. So
And
that's all.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, just one final comment. With respect to grant funding, I hear that so often, all the time. And guess what? The city's doing it, right? How many, when Carla presented the other day, like how many millions of dollars were they pursuing?
20 million.
$20 million. $20 million of grant funding, right? And so if people think that that's not being done, it's not being considered, it's like when people tell me, like, apply for more grants. You think we're not?
Did they not see
Like,
that
I mean,
contract that we
right, I mean,
executed
come on.
last summer?
It's like, you think we're not applying for grants?
All this?
Like, you think that's a novel idea that nobody knows about? Of course. But, you know, one thing we can do is maybe present that more often, right? But
Absolutely. And that's what we're doing now, right?
That's what we're doing. It's
Okay.
on my soapbox.
So, and then you can put it on social media.
Put it on social media.
Yes,
There you go.
absolutely.
Can I put a
Okay.
picture of us again on social?
And I'll be a
No.
grocery
It was
outlet.
very popular.
No,
by
you
Buy
the
some
can't
beer.
put a picture of me and you together.
Yeah.
Okay, now I give my report. I attended the yearly meeting at luncheon at the Pioneers Museum. As a life member, I support their activity. I was out there at their luncheon the other day. That's their yearly meeting for membership. I went to the sheriff's drive-through barbecue and received my barbecue, and
Did that.
that was really kind of nice, and they did a good job with that. I have attended some funerals lately. Mr. Roger Hess passed away here locally. He was a local resident, and I did attend his funeral and saw Tony Rohotis there, Tony Rohotis Jr., and those individuals there.
Saw me.
Yeah, I saw you and a bunch of other people from here. And, you know, those are the kind of things that we try to do. I try to do for the city, but also for my friends and different people that I have to go. I'm scheduled to attend Dr. Vo. Dr. Vo is having a gala on Friday, I believe it is, and I will be attending that as the city representative. We're slated to receive an award. I think that will be really, really, really nice. And then I'm also on a panel for a legislative panel with the Ivy Chamber of Commerce. They're going to have a panel and a panel discussion with small business owners about how we bring businesses into both Brawley and other cities in the valley. So I'm scheduled to be on that panel also. So I think all of those things, there's a lot of things going on. We have cattle call coming up. We have the Pioneers Memorial Hospital Foundation is having their upcoming fall gala where they get a lot of money. They get a lot of donations at that gala for both scholarships and other things that they do with the hospital. And they provide a lot of support to our hospital, which is extremely important to our community, and we all know that. And so there's just a lot of things going on out there. And coming out of COVID, we're just kind of overwhelmed with all the things that are happening and all the things that are happening here in the city of Brawley. And I do want to recognize all the employees. They do a good job. I've been dealing with many, many things here. The city's been helping me with a couple of different things. The homeless appear to be coming back into the Los Amigos, so we've got the police department going to be working on that, and I've talked to the city staff and Tommy here regarding that. And also, we had a leaking fire hydrant. I've got them working on that. And there's a variety of other things going on around the city that we're looking at. And so we try to address these issues as they come up, but we do have to set priorities, and some things take a little longer for us to resolve, but we get them resolved. And I appreciate the city staff for working as hard as they do and doing the things that they do. And with that, we'll go to the city attorney report.
Well, we have got 2 new code enforcement cases this week, so I'm going to take a look at it. 2 houses that are derelict. Probably will go and ask the court to appoint a receiver. We'll take them over, rehab them or sell them or do something.
Okay.
But they won't stay like they are.
That sounds excellent. I get complaints, and that's what we want to be doing.
Well,
So, very good.
and there's a process, and when the process is done, it ends up on my desk, and then the court gets involved.
And we've done that with you very successfully, so thank you.
For many years.
Yeah.
There's
You've done a good job.
there's always a couple pending.
All right, thank you.
And I had a question, do we need to go back to closed session to discuss any of these other items, or is there anything else that we need to do?
Just the one.
Okay, so what we'll do is, with that the agenda's over. We won't adjourn until after the closed session. We'll just go back into closed session.
Right.
And so with that, thank you all for being here, and thank the members of the public that joined us on Zoom. And with that, that concludes our open meeting.
Thank you, everyone.